Good morning, beautiful day for a run. Listen to those cicadas singing me on. And the marching band practicing. Okay, what's the difference between a 5K training plan, marathon training plan, and training for an 8-hour ultra? That's the question I hope to answer today. Because as you know, I've trained for 5Ks before. I've trained for 2 marathons. And finally now I'm training for an 8-hour ultra. And each are quite different from one another. The 5K first. This is our primary exercise mode for adults in the US, around the world, right? The 5K, this is something local governments put on all around the world to try to get 50-somethings like me, 50-somethings out and getting some exercise in and get to where we can run at whatever pace, whether we're doing it in 45 minutes or 20, 3 miles, right? Most aren't measured all that well. Most don't even give a t-shirt or a medal, but most accessible. It's a great training stimulus because not only do you get to train your aerobic system, especially for your first one, but after that, you get to try to work on speed. Cut your 45 minute down to 40 down to 35, or 25 down to 20, right? And so speed work and HIIT becomes part. Many people run 5Ks their whole life and never move on to the marathon. But for some, I don't know, maybe 1-2% of the population, getting a marathon under their belt is a rite of passage, even if they never run one again, and a great exercise goal. So the marathon then becomes something where a runner is pushing themselves to greater distances while still holding on to some speed that they might have developed in their 5K training. There's no guarantee that anybody finishes a marathon. It's 26 miles. And in between there, a lot of people like the half marathon or the 10K best and run those events. They're significantly harder than a 5K, but not nearly as long as a marathon. And then finally, there's the 8-hour ultra I'm training for. Timed events, 6-hour, 8-hour, 12-hour, 24-hour, 48-hour. These events tend to run around a loop and don't tend to have a lot of hills. You know, they tend to be fairly flat. I know there's one in Ohio I've never run that's on the Canal Trail. And it just does I think a 5-mile loop there. The one I'm doing is in New Jersey and has a 3.75-mile loop that you go around and around and around and around. So what do you need for that? Not really speed work. What you do need is to be able to keep yourself moving for 8 hours. Of course you can stop. You can take a break, but every stopping and every break might hurt how many loops you get around. And you have to finish the final loop or it doesn't count. So if you run 33 miles and the bell rings before you get that last 0.75, you got a 30 miler on the score sheet. So it's a different level and a different set of challenges, but still a very viable alternative for 50-somethings and keeping themselves healthy. In fact, this year so far, this 8-hour race I'm training for has been a great inspiration for the type of work I'm doing. And as you can see, here I am walking up this hill, keeping my heart rate at 120, nice and maffetone, right? Like zone 2, low, because that's the type of ability you need for 8 hours of running. Of course, there are other events to train for. I've ran mountain half marathons where the training necessarily has a lot of hill work. And I've run 10Ks, half marathons, and there's people that run 100-milers. And some of these are pretty mountainous, combining the challenges of mountains with being out there for a day or more.